managed to travel only by using renewable energy. I believe that we will be having Mr. Gunter Pauli in a few seconds with us.
He's here.
And due to some obligations, we will be introducing Mr. Kastanas right away after Mr. Pauli's introduction and presentation. Hello, Mr. Pauli.
It's Hello, how
nice
are you
to
doing?
Have you with us.
Thank you so much. And I know you are on Mediterranean time, meaning that you feel running late is being on time. Let me just be very clear and go back in history for some of you. In 1980, I met George Livanos. And in 1982, he created, I was a small little minuscule part of it, Helmepa. And you know, the goal of Helmepa at first was very simply not to throw the trash in the sea and keep it till the port. I mean, it was an amazing decision, but ladies and gentlemen, that is 40 years ago and nothing has really happened in the meantime. And I think we have to give ourselves a little slap in the face and say, why did we waste 40 years? Why is it coming up as an issue now, as an emergency? And I am asking you to please have ethics at the core. As George Livanos and I discussed at the time, you cannot steal less. If you're stealing, you're a thief. You're stealing less, you're still a thief. And the same logic applies to pollution. You can't pollute less. You can't pollute, period. Polluting less is polluting. Doing less damage is doing damage. And that has to be the core principle. Now, I am sick and tired at my age with my growing gray beard. I'm tired of further analysis. Analysis leads to paralysis. We need action on the ground. So I have equipped my ship Porrima, the first ship in the world to be equipped with a system to continuously, as I'm moving through the seas, all nano and microplastics. We're using the technology of microfluidics that allows us to isolate only the microplastics up to 30 nano. What I think is important, we have 60,000 ships cruising the oceans all day and all night using the worst fuels in the world. The least they could do is every ship has to be installed with a microplastic removal technology. And if we don't do that, we have no right to look our children and our grandchildren into the eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear, action is needed. And when we look at the sources of the plastics today, it is a scandal, and this is my second major message. It is a scandal that there is no university around the world teaching their chemical engineers how to design polymers, plastics, that degrade in the soil, the sun, and the sea. It's amazing that today biodegradability is only standardized for soil, but the soil bacteria that degrade plastics in the soil do not exist in the sea. And as a result, we have a major accumulation of millions of tons of plastics because we designed them not to degrade. Ladies and gentlemen, you can talk about packaging as much as you want. You can talk about waste management systems as much as you want to talk. But we need to have engineers who have as a standard that any polymer we make will be degradable in the sea, in the sun, and in the soil. And unless we are doing that in practice, and we're only waiting for the standards to be decided by the European Union to go for action, we are wasting a generation. I believe in third point that I want to make in my very brief intervention is energy sources. My ship Porrima has an excess of energy. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have a problem with energy. I have too much power on my boat. I'm using the solar power, I'm using the kite power, and I'm using the hydrogen power that we make from seawater. Ladies and gentlemen, we make hydrogen on the boat from seawater. I don't understand why there's so much debate about heavy fuels and less polluting fuels when I have a ship that has done 95,000 nautical miles, and we have demonstrated it is perfectly possible to have an excess. Now, I take it for granted. The speed of my boat is maximum 12 knots, and this global industry wants to run at 20 knots. Fair enough. I take on the challenge, and I invite all the Greeks to join me in the challenge that in 2027, I will have a 80-meter catamaran solely running on hydrogen from seawater, kite and solar, and will go around the world in 80 days. And we will have 20 containers on our boat. Now, these are the kind of challenges we need to take up, ladies and gentlemen. For the rest, stop debating. Let's do it. My apologies, I have to go now. I have to join another meeting. It's a bit pity I couldn't be more with you, but I know that with Loukas and Ilias, you're in great hands to further these debates. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Pauli. Thanks a lot. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that you all agree that this was quite something. And I believe that you all agree and you already know why this person is one of the most influential people regarding plastic waste management in the oceans and in the seas worldwide. Without further delay, I would like to thank the American Hellenic Chamber for inviting me to be the facilitator of the two panels. The first one has to do with the sustainable maritime environment. To have some small introduction, I believe that nobody inside this room would be willing to throw plastic waste in the sea. But if we look at our behavior, and according to some scientific estimates, we all are part of polluting the seas. We would like to see how this is happening and what can we change. And we will be going to our first speaker. The title of the panel is Sustainable Maritime Environment. And our first speaker is Mr. Loukas Kontogiannis. He's the head of Marine Pollution, Subdivision for Protective Measures, Marine Environment Division, International, from the International Maritime Organization, the well-known IMO. Mr. Kontogiannis, good afternoon. Before beginning with your presentation, I would like also to present Mr. Dr. Pascalis Kastanas. He's the Market Sustainable Packaging Manager of Nestlé. You all know what Nestlé is. So, Mr. Kontogiannis, I would like to begin with you and your presentation, and we're looking forward to hear it.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure and honor to be with you this afternoon, albeit remotely. My presentation to you today will be a high-level summary of some key international regulations that address marine plastics from sea-based sources. Specifically, I will talk about Annex 5 of the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships and the IMO Action Plan to address marine plastic litter from ships. The International Maritime Organization is a specialized agency of the United Nations with a mission to promote safe, secure, environmentally and efficient and sustainable shipping through cooperation. This mission is pursued through the development of international treaties that are agreed and acceded to by member states. The international requirements are then given effect through national and regional laws. A common misconception is that IMO deals with marine pollution in general. However, it's worth clarifying that the requirements developed within IMO are concerned with the prevention of marine pollution from ships mainly. There are requirements that regulate discharges from ships into the sea, as well as atmospheric pollution. The main instrument that this is achieved through is the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, and specifically within the context of marine litter Annex 5 of that convention is the relevant one, which deals with prevention with requirements for garbage from ships. Annex 5 of MARPOL, as you can see, as well as all other annexes, covers more than 95% of world tonnage. In that regard, it's worth highlighting some of the key requirements in MARPOL Annex 5. Firstly, it prohibits the discharge of all types of garbage from ships into the sea, except in cases explicitly permitted. Annex 5 applies to all ships, including fishing vessels. And within the definition of garbage, the definition captures all plastics and fishing gear that is liable to be disposed. And the key message here is that MARPOL Annex 5, ever since its inception and entry into force in 1998, contains a complete ban imposed on the disposal into the sea of all forms of plastics. So this is not a new subject. In terms of enforcement and implementation of MARPOL Annex 5, the key players are the flag states in ensuring that ships flying the flag are in compliance with MARPOL regulations. Another key element of IMO treaties is port states, where each port state can inspect ships calling its ports and has an obligation to put in place adequate port reception facilities for the delivery of ship-generated waste. And of course, coastal states that may establish sanctions for any violation that occurs in the country's territorial sea and EEZ, and can also establish surveillance at sea programs. Now, one of the key elements for the capacity of ships to comply with the requirements of MARPOL is port reception facilities. What is meant by that is that every member state that is party to MARPOL has an obligation to ensure the provision of reception facilities that are adequate to meet the needs of ships using their ports and terminals. Most ports need reception facilities for garbage and oily residues, and fishing ports may need additional facilities to receive fishing gear. And governments and whether they're at federal level or regional level, need to inspect and license port reception facilities. Now, having said that the requirements in MARPOL Annex 5 prohibit the discharge of all plastics into the ocean, the IMO in 2017 recognized that more needed to be done to enhance implementation of MARPOL Annex 5. And therefore, the action plan to address marine plastic litter from ships was agreed at the Marine Environment Protection Committee. The objective of the plan is to further enhance IMO's commitment to reducing marine plastic litter from ships, and it contains several actions that need to be completed by 2025. These include measures to enhance MARPOL Annex 5, such as requiring a garbage record book on smaller ships, improving reporting of fishing gear that has been lost, thus enhancing its future retrieval, marking of fishing gear to trace its ownership so that if it's retrieved from the ocean, it can be investigated, and increased awareness amongst seafarers and fishers. With that said, the message that I'd like to convey to you today is that regulations at the international level exist to address marine plastic litter from ships. Sea-based sources approximately account for about 20% of marine plastic litter in the ocean. However, it's important to take action to reduce, minimize, and eventually stop marine plastic litter from leaking into the ocean from sea-based sources. And I'll leave you with that, and hopefully in our subsequent discussion, we can elaborate on many of these points. Thank you very much.
Kontogiannis. I would like to ask you one question. When we think of the IMO and of course when we think of the IMO's treaties and rules, we believe that they are focused on the trading ships, on the merchant ships, and not on the fisheries, on the fishing ships and the fishing fleets worldwide. But yet there's a lot of pollution coming from the fishing ships. Do you believe that the IMO is taking up any action towards this matter, and perhaps by doing some cooperation and some synergies with other organizations like the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations that is responsible for fisheries?
Yes, thank you very much for the question. Indeed, your impression that the IMO deals mainly with merchant ships trading internationally is probably created by the fact that SOLAS, the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, explicitly doesn't apply to fishing vessels. However, MARPOL, in particular Annex 5, which contains regulation for the prevention of garbage from ships, prevention of pollution from garbage of ships, applies to all ships, including fishing vessels. So as I mentioned in my presentation, the definition of garbage in MARPOL includes fishing gear that's liable to be disposed, and disposal of fishing gear to the sea is prohibited in accordance with the general prohibition of the discharge of garbage into the sea. Therefore, from the international perspective, international law, MARPOL Annex 5 is the main international instrument prohibiting the discharge of plastics and fishing gear into the sea from ships, with certain specific exceptions. So whereas the work of IMO in relation to fisheries is restricted to safety of ships and the prevention of pollution from ships, FAO deals more broadly with facilitating and securing the long-term sustainable development and utilization of the world's fisheries and aquaculture. To your question about collaboration, IMO and FAO work closely in promoting the entry into force of international regulation for the safety of fishing vessels, activities and measures to prevent, deter, and eliminate illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, and additional measures to prevent illegal discharges of fishing gear. So, for example, FAO has developed the voluntary guidelines on the marking of fishing gear and is currently working on a technical manual. And this will help inform the current development within IMO, which is to develop mandatory requirements for the marking of fishing gear. So the discussions within IMO will take into account the FAO guidelines and technical manual. Furthermore, I'd like to mention that there is a very ambitious program within IMO called the Glow Litter Partnerships Project, which is a project between the government of Norway, IMO, and FAO, which aims to assist developing countries to prevent and reduce marine litter, especially plastic litter within the maritime transport and fisheries sectors, and to identify opportunities for the reduction of plastic use in both industries. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
I would like to have a specification. You mentioned a technical guideline, a technical manual for the fishing fleets. So what will that be? Could you give us an example? Could you give us an idea of how these guidelines will look like and seem like?
I don't have a specific idea, but I can give you my expectations. So, for example, there are many types of fishing gear, for example, long lines, nets. I'm not a fisheries expert, but I can give you those two examples. There are many technologies that are under development or exist in order to mark these types of fishing gear. So the technical manual, I expect, will provide specific recommendations on how to mark different types of fishing gear, what types of risk assessment should be done for specific fishing subsets of the fishing industry, in order to help administrations develop regulations, national regulations that will require the marking of fishing gear depending on the type of fishing industry that exists within each country.
This is certainly something that we will be looking forward to. Thanks a lot, Mr. Kontogiannis, again.
Thank you.
Let's move to our next speaker. It's Mr. Dr. Pascalis Kastanas, Market Sustainable Packaging Manager of Nestlé. Hello, Mr. Kastanas. The first time we met was in a conference, in a plastics industry conference, back in February 2020, and I believe it was the last conference with physical presence worldwide. I don't know about that. So I was surprised by hearing Nestlé's targets back then in 2020, and I'm really eager to hear your targets for the years to come.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. And thank you very much. I would like to thank Greek American Chamber of Commerce for the venue that they organize, and they give us the opportunity to present our progress. The situation is that the way things are, we only have one planet to live in, and we are running out of time. This is the situation. So we need to act, and we need to act fast, and this is something that was stressed before on this. And Nestle has committed that by 2050, that we will achieve net zero greenhouse gases emissions. And also our commitment is none of our packaging, including plastic, will end up in landfills or as a litter. We transform our products to be more climate friendly, and we use 100% renewable electricity in all offices and factories. We started our sustainability journey a bit earlier than we first met. We started in 2018 by launching and actually making public our commitment. And we keep on building and supporting our journey with additional activities, like the creation of Institute of Packaging Sciences in Switzerland, the pledge for 1.5, actually this is now, even with the new pledges, is 2 billion Swiss francs towards food-grade recyclable plastic. We committed that we will reduce virgin plastic by 1/3 until 2025, and in 2020 we published the new net zero roadmap. This new net zero roadmap actually shows a clear numerical, quantified approach of how much we need to, what is our baseline and how much we need to reduce in order to achieve our target for net zero. And we even break this quantification per region and per market, so everyone knows what exactly is their performance and how much they improve through the years. Nestlé needs to provide sustainable, fit-for-purpose food. This is very important because all of us, we do not use food in the same way. For some of us, it's a means of pleasure. For others of us, a means of sustainment, and for some other of us, is a means of introducing nutrients, special and specific nutrients to our bodies. So, safety and quality is the first priority. Pre-portion is a very important point that will help consumer in order to avoid food waste. And of course, key information to the consumers of what is the nutritional value of this product and what is the way to use it, what is the best way to use it, but there's also what is the best way to dispose packaging or anything else related to this. And we need to adapt this into the related geography, and Eastern Mediterranean is one very specific area that makes this adaptation very important and demonstrates it clearly. The needs in Greece are totally different than the needs in Egypt, or the needs in Libya, or the needs in Israel, or the needs in Lebanon, or the needs in Turkey. So each country needs to have adapted the food, the same food, in their own requirements and their own needs and their own specificities. The same goes with climate. Climate is totally different in Eastern Mediterranean countries like, let's say, Albania or Croatia, or the climate that we have in Egypt. totally different, and food needs to be adapted to that, as well as the route to market for the same reasons. It's a totally different sales tactics and sales practices in Egypt and in Croatia or in Greece, and of course legislation. The countries who are in European Union, like Greece and Cyprus, have to follow and have to introduce very specific and tight legislation and within specific targets. And other countries, they need to decide for the legislation they will introduce themselves. Now, in order to achieve, we have a set of aims in order to achieve our ambition. And our ambition is to source our ingredients sustainably, transform our product portfolio. 100% of all our packaging will be recyclable or reusable by 2025, and reduce 1/3 of our virgin plastic. We use 100% renewable energy to manufacture our products. 90% of company fleet will consist of green vehicles by 2025. We will reduce our contribution to CO2 to zero for specific selected products. We will introduce in the market alternative products so consumers have options. And we will enhance the voice and strive to have more collective actions to promote sustainability. And we do this by collaborating with NGOs here in Greece that actually work on sustainability. One of the key and first changes related to products and to single-use plastic is the ban on plastic straws. For this reason, Nestle supported Staramaki, which is a regenerative agriculture company that actually delivers straws from straw. This is where the name actually comes from. It is a socially based and managed company based in Kilkis, in one of the rural areas in Greece. And they produce the straws they offer in a totally physical way. It's socially responsible, providing employment to local community and support local income families, support circular economy by recycling any bio-waste that they may have. And this is an activity related to coffee, which is the core of the activities of Nestle in Greece. We continue and we drive towards a circular and waste-free economy, and we have a motto of reduce, reuse, and recycle. And we reduce and we are reducing our virgin plastic, and we will achieve our target by 2025 to have 1/3 reduction. We reuse and we pilot systems at this stage abroad, but soon in Greece as well, for reuse and refill systems. And we are among the first companies that we introduce up to 50% recycled plastic in our plastic bottles. This is very important because actually for materials that they are not included in the EPR systems of any described by the legislation, Nestle set up its own recycling system like Nespresso, and we receive and we recycle and we have circular economy approaches both for the aluminium but also for the coffee that is included, which is composted and then is reused by Greek farmers. For this reason, Nestle applies a totally circular ecosystem, and this circular ecosystem includes both the supply chain that we use in order to supply the market with our products and our services, but also the relationships we have with the authorities and industry association, but also the relationships we have with NGO and other marine-related and marine plastic organizations in the country. One of the first activities that we have is with Aegean Rebreath, and we started with Aegean Rebreath with the Urban Initiative in Kalamata. The Urban Initiative in Kalamata is a combined initiative that combines both the habits of people of Kalamata in the way they consume their coffee and beverages on the go. And the effort was to collaborate with the providers of beverages on the go in Kalamata in order to change the mentality of people in Kalamata. Also, we collaborated with local municipality in order to reduce plastic pollution that goes to the Bay of Kalamata through the uncollected single-use plastic. And also we collaborated with the municipality of Pylos in order to protect the sand dunes in Voidokilia Bay that is a is a UNESCO natural environment monument, and they need protection from over tourism and bad visiting habits. Here you see that in the area of Kalamata there is river Nedon that actually is more or less within the municipality of the city. This is a dry river during the summer period, but during the winter period this area collects all the water that comes through the rain. We collaborated with the municipality and we set up a net in order to block and keep all the plastic that is washed away from the city, goes to River Nedon and then ends up to the sea.
Are we going to see the result?
Yes, you can see the result. That is a green, good green, clean sea. And actually, we even have statistics for this that from the municipality of Kalamata, that the amount of plastic in the sea is being reduced the 12 months that this whole system is being applied. The knowledge coming from the experience in Kalamata is being transferred to Thessaloniki, and we are scaling up. And yesterday we had an inauguration with the mayor of Thessaloniki of the same approach, including a sea drone that will clean up the seafront of Thessaloniki. Here, sea dune in Voidokilia is protected, and also messaging to the people of Kalamata through emotional communication in order to change their habits and actions and avoid littering the sea and the city. We are collaborating with Enalea, an NGO here in Greece that works with local fishermen. And with Enalea, we have 3 projects, one in Saronikos, one in Thermaikos as well, and one in the area of Ambrakikos, Astakos, and Vonitsa. In this area, we collect, up to now, we have activated 21 fishing vessels and 56 fishers. And until now, for the current year, we have reached more than 8 tons of plastic, marine plastic packaging collected. And we are continuing until the end of the fishing season. For some reason, there is no sound, correct?
Well, sound has been an issue in the previous panel also, but I believe that we will make the effects, so we can go on.
We collaborate also with Polyeco and the University and the University of Aegean in Mytilene, and we worked in the project called We See More initiative, where we map marine plastic in order to have focused collection of marine plastic, because since many years ago, the key thing in sea environment is to have a good map and go to the specific location in a targeted way. This helps a lot to improve the efficiency and the results of marine cleanup activities. Now. these activities are done with the effort of drones, all the mapping, so this is why you will see the drones actually doing their job. This was a combined event with a sea drone and an area drone, and the sea drone was helped in order to map the surface, and the sea drone to map down 15 meters down the surface of the water.
Okay, now we can see what the drones show you.
And you will see then just in a second what actually the drones produced. They produced these pictures, photorealistic pictures, where they point exactly the location of the marine litter. So the cleanup teams, they target their efforts and they do not mess around like that in the sea. And
they didn't waste any time.
Exactly. And this is exceptional in order to control the performance and the effectiveness of all cleaning activities. Actually, this mapping activity has, from the University of Aegean, has the capability of identifying the plastic debris, so that if we can focus specifically on the removal of plastic pollution.
This has been great, Mr. Kastanas, really, sincerely.
We hope we will do even better things with the project now that we start in Thessaloniki. Last but not least, is that we need to walk the talk ourselves. We cannot just ask the others who buy our products not to pollute and not to. So all our facilities here in Greece are single-use plastic free.
Okay.
And all our facilities here in Greece, they use 100% renewable electricity.
Okay, that's great.
Here is that our commitment, and we have the support of our employees in order to live and operate that way. And actually, this is for us an everyday way of living.
Well, I have only one question and 1.5 minutes left for your answer. I would like to learn about your philosophy more, because we saw really ambitious targets, and which are global targets, and we saw really important actions which are local. How would you say those two things are combined? Do you believe that the local action leads to global results?
Nestle philosophy is to generate and regenerate. So we generate products, ideas, even business performance, and we need to regenerate the planet and resources in order to continue generating. This is very important, and this is a virtuous circle that we need to do in order to continue existing as a company and to continue deliver to our shareholders the benefit, and to our customers the benefits that we offer them. The main thing, as we said, that all efforts need to be localized. There is no one-size-fits-all. So we have, and this is the role that we play. We take the central strategy and the central policy, and we adjust this strategy and policy to the local environment. The Greek team and the Greek Nestle team, actually, and I'm really proud for this, we spend a lot of time to convince the central head office that part of our sustainability strategy should include the sea as well. It is not only the forests and the reforestation,
of course,
or the avoidance of deforestation. It is not only the rivers and avoid polluting the rivers and the sea. Actually, the biggest lung in the planet is the blue lung, as we say, It is the oxygen that comes from the seas and from the oceans. So Greece is a country that has a huge relationship with sea, and actually this is exactly what we influenced the central strategy with, and actually we are promoting the approach that our planet has two lungs. One is the green lung and one is the blue lung, and we need to support both.
Thank you. Dear Mr. Kastanas and dear Mr. Kontogiannis, I would like to thank you both for this, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the panel for sustainable maritime environment, and I believe that you also how the maritime environment can indeed be sustainable. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.